Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are doing good. Am I audible to all of you? Welcome back to the reading practice sessions. So let's begin with today's test. Check your microphones, check your audio settings, those of you who are unable to hear me, because most of the students are saying yes. How will they even hear this, right? Okay. So before we begin, before I show you the test, one announcement that I did the last week as well, that this week actually, that from 1st of April, the timing of the class will change. We will be having the class half an hour early. According to Sydney time, it will be 6 p.m. And I think according to Indian time, it should be 12 p.m. Is it? 12:30 or 12. Now we start at 1, so it should be 12:30. Okay. Please keep in mind, I'll also put a post on the Facebook group and I will inform in the groups that we have for online students as well, but just a reminder for a few days. So we are again doing the reading blanks first today. So I've decided 2 days in a week we will be doing reading blanks first. 2 days in the week we will be doing reading writing first. So that you know that when your mind is fresh, what scores are you getting in each of the blanks? And are you able to manage time or not? So this is a new strategy that I have devised myself. So first question for reading blanks on the screen, and you have 2 minutes, and then you have to post your answers in the chat box. Once we start the discussion, please don't type anything in the chat box so that I can focus. I have very weak focus. And also once we are having the discussion, so please try that you're focusing on understanding the things. If you have any questions which is apart from the question that we are discussing, we will have a 10-minute, 5 to 10 minutes chit chat session at the end, and you can ask your doubts apart from the reading blanks that we are solving. And keep making notes. These are very important. They will help you to solve your questions when you will be all alone by yourself. So the first question, 2 minutes for this, and then I should see your answers in the chat box, please. Okay, should be done. We are not going to give you extra time now. And I must say, who was the first one to answer? Rupinder, very well done. Good time management. The answers, the first one is hazardous waste can be a liquid, solid or sludge that is a dash of a manufacturing process. So whenever we have a blank before of, we need a noun in that case. If you look at the options, we had only one noun. Only one was a noun, which was byproduct. Even if we don't know the meaning of byproduct, we know the meaning of product, and we know that product word is a noun. So you could have selected byproduct. So byproduct is the extra product that is made. So when we are going through a manufacturing process, we are manufacturing something. The waste is always generated. We are never manufacturing waste intentionally, but it comes out of the process. So that is unintentional product, the secondary product, which is called byproduct of a manufacturing process. It can also be a commercial product like industrial solvents or pharmaceuticals that are dash. So what all things it can be? They can be industrial solvents, they can be pharmaceuticals that are. So waste word is here. So all these things are discarded. Discarded means thrown. They are waste. We don't need them. So all these things are discarded or thrown. Under the law, a waste is hazardous and must be treated, especially if the Environmental Protection Agency lists the waste as being hazardous, or if the waste dash that it has any of the following characteristics, or if the waste dash that it means we are treating waste here as a singular thing. So if the noun is singular, we need a verb with S. If the waste dash that it has any of the following characteristics, so what with S we have is demonstrates and results. So waste results that doesn't make sense. With results, we need waste results in something. So with the results, we generally use the preposition in. So it should be demonstrates. Demonstrate means if the waste shows that it has any of the following characteristics, which are ignitable, a waste that is flammable, it can catch fire. Corrosive, waste that are acids or alkaline that can burn human tissue or corrode metal. Reactive, what is that? A dash range of waste that are unstable. So we generally, with the word range, we use broad range, wide range, or these are the two words we use with range. So we do have broad here, which we can select with range, a broad range of waste that are unstable, explosive, or can dash toxic fumes. With can comes V1 and without S it should be. And if we look at the options, there was only one V1, first form of verb, without S, so there was no doubt, and it makes sense also. Explosive, or the waste can create toxic fumes, which is right. So these are the answers. The first one, we needed a noun and there was only one noun in the option. Byproduct means the extra product, the secondary product, the unintentional product. And all these wastes are discarded, means they're just thrown away. Third, if the waste dash that it tells us that waste word is being treated as singular. So we needed a verb with S. We also had results with S, but it doesn't make grammatical sense saying waste results that. Waste results in something is how we use the word results. The fourth one, broad range or wide range. We had broad here, and then the last one with can comes V1, first form of verb without S. There was only one, which is create, so that is why that is our answer. After A, if we have a blank after A, or if we have a blank before of, we always have to fill noun in that case, not a verb. Right, so these are the answers. Any doubts or questions, anyone? Anything that we did not talk about or you have a confusion, please try to be as specific as you can. A lot of you have got a good score, very well done. I think I need to keep a check on how you're performing. All good with this one, everybody? All right, thank you, 𝗙𝗵𝗍. Here you have your question number 2 and only 2 minutes also. Please post your answers. I am noting who's taking how much time. 2 minutes and start doing. All right, should be done. And Param, very well done. The fastest and the correct answer. It feels like ABC. Fastest finger first. Okay, the first answer. Okay, stop writing and listen to the explanation, please. This says when scientists study living animals, they can look at behavior, morphology, embryology, and DNA. It's a different story when it comes to long extinct animals. So they are making a comparison between studying living animals and studying extinct animals. When they are studying living animals, they can look at all these things. But it's a different story when it comes to extinct animals. The sentence is complete, still we have a blank. We need adverb here. We only had one adverb altogether. You can add this in your list of adverbs. Altogether is also an adverb. Apart from, what are the other adverbs that we have done apart from ly? We have done well. We have done 𝗙𝗿𝗀𝘀. We have done soon. Who else remembers often? Very good. Any other adverb that we have done that isn't already? Wow, intelligent students. Very not used much because very is actually considered as an informal word. Indeed, yes, you can add indeed as well. Sometimes, perhaps, okay, keep adding. Initially, usually, we don't need to because they end with ly. So every word that ends with ly is an adverb. So you can make a list of the words apart from ly. So perhaps is one, those who are noting. Always is one, sometimes is one. and altogether also is one. So here the answer will be it's a different story altogether. Altogether means completely. So we can say it's a completely different story. But if we want to make it more academic, we can say it's a different story altogether when it comes to extinct animals. Why is it a different story? Because behavior cannot be observed. They are not here, so we cannot observe the behavior. And their DNA has long since been dashed. With being the options that we had were EDs, discovered or destroyed. So both are grammatically fitting. We had to select the answer based on context. So we are saying negative, that we cannot observe the behavior. We don't have the DNAs, and some of you have selected discovered. If you say discovered, that will mean we have the DNA. But the story, the context is saying opposite. That this is the problem. So the answer will be, and their DNA has long been destroyed. That we don't have their DNAs. We cannot look at the behaviors. So understanding dash animals and how they are related to living ones takes a special kind of detective work. And here most of you are right in selecting understanding extinct animals because that was the topic. Takes a special kind of detective work. Dash use the clues. So what we have in capitals is scientists and paleontologists. One is singular, one is plural. So we don't have to go into what is the meaning of paleontologist. We just have to see whether we need a singular answer or a plural. The verb they have written is without S. That means we need the subject with S. So the answer will be paleontologist because scientist is without S and it cannot be the answer. The combination has to be plural noun comes with a verb without S and singular noun comes with a verb with S. One of them has to be plural. So scientists use both of them will be without S, which is impossible according to grammar. So that's why the answer will be paleontologist. So these are the answers. The first one we needed adverb and we had only one altogether. Second, after being comes ed form. Discovered is wrong according to context. Right according to grammar, but we have to check context also. If both the words grammatically fit, then obviously the answer has to be based on context. And the context says we have in problem. We don't have the behavior, we don't have the DNAs because they have been destroyed. Understanding extinct animals, again based on context. And the last one based on grammar, use is without S. So we need a subject, the noun with S, which was paleontologist because scientist was without S. Right? Any questions, anyone? Any doubts we have here, and those who did not have the list of adverbs, I hope you have noted down now. Amandeep, go through the recordings, please. Not more than 3 times. Sorry. Question number 3. Paleontologists are also people who study our. Should I say people? Yeah, they are people who, like we have geologists who particularly study the earth, and we have scientists who particularly do the scientific experiments. Paleontologists are people who basically try to find out the fossils and the remains of the extinct species. So that is their work area. Okay. Okay, question number 3 and 2 minutes for this, and then post your answers, please. Okay, should be done by now. And we have got a new winner, Tamanna. Congratulations. You have given the fastest and the correct answer. Very well done. And I did not know that even isotopes can be famous. Some of you think isotopes can be famous also. Do we use the word famous for carbon, sulfur, hydrogen, oxygen, potassium, and so wooden science? We don't use famous for isotopes or chemicals or what is this field? Chemistry. As it happens, there are 4 different kinds or isotopes of sulfur. By far the most dash is sulfur 32. We did not read the hyphen to hyphen part because it is not important. So by far the most dash is sulfur 32. So that they said there are 4 types and the most common is this one. The other isotopes are this, and that. The relative proportion of these 4 isotopes has tended to remain dash over time. The thing that you have to learn when doing the blanks is the strategy of picking up the right words when the context would be technical in the exam. Like the relative proportion of these isotopes has tended to remain dash. So what are the important words? The proportion has to remain dash. So you need a word that a proportion can remain. Can you say a proportion can remain famous? Proportion is the composition. What is sulfur made of is the proportion. So the relative proportion of isotopes has to remain steady over time. So it has to remain. How it has to remain? It has to remain same. It has to remain steady over time. But this person and his colleagues found that in rocks dash than about 2.4 billion years, then we have 𝗙𝗋𝗋𝗋 than, we always use second form of verb. And let's see, we had only one, older. Older than 2.4 billion years, the dash of sulfur 33 varied widely. So again a blank before of, we need a noun. And piece of sulfur or proportion of sulfur, we had 2 nouns. So what is the context talking about? The context is about proportion. So we cannot say piece of sulfur, and moreover sulfur cannot have a piece. So it will be the proportion of sulfur varied widely, whereas rocks younger than about 2.1 billion years showed no significant variation. What dash for the variation and for the change? What famous followed or accounted? Only 4 options were left. And something which is a collocation with 4 is accounted for, are 2 words which go together. Account for, accounted for, accounting for. So we'll go with what accounted for. Accounted for means what was the reason behind, what led to this variation. So what accounted for the variation and for the change. So these are the answers. I'll repeat once again. First one, there are 4 types. The most common is this. Then the proportion to remain dash. So proportion is the composition. The proportion has to remain steady. A word that can match with proportion. A proportion can vary. Proportion can be stable. Proportion can be steady. Proportion can be fixed. Proportion can be variable. Only these are the words which can relate to proportion. Nothing else can be a proportion. Then before than, we needed second form of verb and we had only one. The words with ER, older, younger, calmer, happier, these are second forms. And the proportion of sulfur, we needed a noun, and we are talking about proportion. So that is why it will be proportion. And the last one, account for, is a collocation, which normally, yes, we use with numbers that accounted for this much proportion. It is generally with percentages, but it can be used in other sense as well. Like here, what accounted for the variation means what led to the variation. It is possible to use apart from numbers as well, but yes, mostly it is used with numbers. So these are the answers. Any other questions, anybody? Any doubts, anyone? All good with all of you? Okay. Number 5, 2 minutes for this. And post your answers, please. Okay, the time is up. Who is the winner? Kiran Sidhu. I'm waiting for names to be repeated, and every time we are having a new winner, which is a good thing actually, that you are putting in your efforts. Very good. Good time management, good answers. Let's check. This says a new study from this university shows that compounds in both green and black tea relax blood vessels by dash ion channel proteins in the blood vessel wall. So what we have learned is after by comes ing form of verb. So these are the rules you should be noting down. We have two ing forms of verbs, implementing and activating. So we have to check blood vessels, black tea relax blood vessels. By implementing ion channel, do we use the word implement? And can tea implement anything in our body? No. Tea can activate something in our body. This is possible. So implementing is eliminated. Then they say that the discovery helps explain the anti-hypertensive dash of tea. So something of means we need a noun. Let's see what of tea is possible. And we have one noun, properties of tea, and we have nothing else of tea. So there was no choice, and all of you are correct in selecting properties of tea. And could lead to the design of new blood pressure lowering medications. Results from the research dash that two catechin type flavonoid compounds found in tea. So research shows, research suggests, it are normally the words that we use, but here we don't have shows, suggest, but we do have revealed, so that's okay, we can go with that. So results revealed that two flavonoid compounds found in tea each activate a specific type of ion channel protein named this, which dash potassium ions to diffuse out of cells to reduce cellular excitability. Very difficult. This protein named this, which dash. So there's only one protein, it is singular, so we need a verb with S. And we have only one, which is allows. This is number 4. So this protein allows potassium ions to diffuse out to reduce cellular excitability. Dash to its role in controlling vascular tone, it is expressed in various parts of the brain. So what we have in capitals is in addition and according to. And we know how to use according is when we are referring to, like according to the book, according to the law, according to the rules. So when we are referring to some particular source of information, then we use the word according. Here we are not referring to any source of information. So we'll go with in addition, means apart from this role. In addition to its role in controlling this, it is expressed in various parts of the brain. Dash, it regulates electrical activity and signaling between neurons. So various parts of the brain we have talked about is the place where it is found. And whenever we talk about place, we can refer to the place with where or when. When is used to refer to time and where is used to refer to place. So it is basically, they are saying it is found in brain where it does this work, where it regulates electrical activity. So this is why I trust more on grammar, because sometimes the context is very irritating to understand, not completely from your background of study, and then we can get stuck. But anyhow, after by comes ing form. Blood vessels or tea cannot implement anything in our blood vessels. It can activate our blood vessels, that's fine. Of, we need a noun before of. Properties of tea, properties was the only noun we had, something of tea. Third, research, the results of research, we generally say the results suggest, the result shows or something, or revealed. So we had revealed out of that. The noun here was this one protein, this 𝗂𝗃 So we need a verb with S, which was only one, again allows. This protein allows this to happen. According is used to refer, we were not referring. We were saying this is one role it performs, it is found in some other part, it has some other role there. That will be in addition to one thing. It is also present in the brain where it regulates activity. So because that's the other role given. So these are the answers. Any confusions, anyone? No confusions? All good with everybody? Just one according was wrong for some of you. I hope you have noted down the use of according now. And we have the last very small question for 2 minutes for reading blanks. Please put your answers in the chat box. Okay, we have got the answers, a lot of them. And finally, we have a winner repeated. Well done, Rupinder. Good time management. Let's discuss the answers. A growing or more dash economy makes more goods and services. No. A growing or more dash economy makes more goods and provides more services than before. So more is already written. That means this is the second form of verb. But when you already have the word more or most written, then we cannot change the word itself. For example, we cannot write bigger because the first form of bigger is big. And we have already changed bigger, then we cannot put more with that. More can be written when we say more big, not more bigger. So the answer was more productive because out of the other options, nothing was possible. A growing or more productive economy makes more goods. It makes sense also. More productive means more goods, more services than before. Dash, some goods and services are considered more valuable than others. What we have in capitals is even though and however. Very clear hint, even though does not come with a comma, however comes with a comma. So based on even a comma, we can select the answer to be however and not even though. The second thing, if we want to start with even though, first of all, comma should not be there, never. Second, after even in the sentence which starts with even though, there should be two parts. One line, comma, other side of the story, which is not here. We have only one side to the story. For example, a smartphone is considered more valuable than a pair of socks. Growth has to be dashed in the value of goods and services. So after B comes ED form, growth has to be considered in the form of, growth has to be measured in the form of. So we are talking about growth of economy and we measure the growth of economy in terms of gross domestic product, national domestic product, national income. So we'll say growth has to be measured, and moreover for considered, we generally use considered with as. Growth has to be considered in, growth has to be measured in the value of goods and services, not only the dash, not only the noun. After the comes a noun, and what we are left with is quantity and even though and considered. So out of these three, the noun is only quantity. So that will be number 4. Any doubts anybody has? Any questions? Or should we move to your favorite questions? Saida, improve your time management. I don't want you to come up at number 2. So you have your first reorder question here. 2 minutes for this and post your answers. Instead of saying who has answered first, I was trying to see if I can at least get one correct answer. Give yourself a big pour, all of you. This is called poor performance. Jagruti, half correct. At least one correct. See, we have talked about this thing earlier that before you say that this is negative, you first say that there are negative things. Understand this very carefully because this one rule comes almost in all reorders. First, you say that there are negative consequences of erosion, and then you will say this is the consequence. What you have done is you have said landslides are some of the most dangerous side effects of erosion, and in the last sentence you are saying there are negative effects of erosion. Why did you have already talked about negative effects and then you are saying there are negative effects. So you people are going wrong in finding the general statement. General statement is the one which tells you then what are you going to talk about. The first sentence was B, where you have although weather and erosion are responsible for creating beautiful sites such as sandy beaches and the Grand Canyon, there are many negative consequences as well. So there are many negative consequences of what? Weather and erosion. And then you explain those consequences. Then you say landslides are some of the most dangerous side effects. First you said there are many, and then you are just picking up the most dangerous one. This is very narrow to the first sentence because many will include all of them. Dangerous, most dangerous, non-dangerous, 10% dangerous, right? So many is very broader than only picking up the most dangerous ones. So that was one pair. And then in D sentence, you introduce landslides. Landslides are very dangerous. Now, what are landslides? So this is how the order goes. You say something and explain the same thing. So here you have introduced a new topic, landslide. So first explain what is a landslide. That is why C come at number 3. When hillsides or mountain sides are gradually worn away, they can become unstable and break down, especially when triggered by extreme weather such as floods. So this is a landslide. This is the explanation of landslide. And then you give facts. Every year, landslides cause massive amounts of property damage and casualties. That is additional information. Then how many landslides happen in a year? That will be factual information. But definition will come all after introduction. Explanation will come after introduction and then come facts one by one. Right? So it is not AC, it is CA. Yes, we don't have any, the word landslide is not given in C, but sometimes bit of context that what are they talking about when the mountain sides or the hill slides, when they slip, what are they called? They're called landslides only. Right? So not a good attempt, but it's okay. Let's look at number 2. 2 minutes for this and then post your answers, please. Okay, I can see some correct answers, though they came late, but I'm happy they came. Okay, let's see the first sentence. What is the topic? D is the first one. When two organisms create a third organism through reproduction, a number of variables come into play. So this was the topic. They were actually talking about reproduction. They were talking about how the genes of two different species, they combine to form a third organism. So when two organisms create a third organism, a number of variables come into play. This was general statement that there are a lot of variables. What are those variations? Those variables. So it's a sort of a complex lottery in which the third organism. What is the rule that you have done? Article rule. A comes first and the comes later on. A first, a third organism, the third organism. This is the first rule we do in reorders in the strategy classes. So this was based on the article rule. A comes first, the comes later on. It's a sort of complex lottery in which the third organism inherits a combination of the parent organism's genetic material. This sentence is where you are introducing parent organism's genetic material, this topic. Those of you who are putting C at number 1, you have to ask yourself that you are saying the possible variations inherent in recombining the parents. Whose parents? Why are we talking about recombination of DNA? And what is the topic? Is this a general statement? This is the most detailed statement out of the 4 given, because this is not telling us what is the topic. And we are not understanding why are we talking about DNA and why are we talking about variations. So this second B sentence was the one in which we say it inherits a combination of genetic material from the parents. And now we explain that once we have that genetic material, the possible variations inherent in recombining the parents' DNA are very, very broad and infinitely larger than the pool of entries in the state lotto jackpot. So they say that when the genes of two different individuals combine, there are so many possible variations are possible that they have compared it to the entries in the lotto jackpot. That consider that in one state, how many people go buy that lotto ticket. The number of those tickets is even lesser than the number of variations that two genes can have. So basically they're saying to say that just two genes, which we say that gene is the smallest unit of life, the cell is the smallest unit of life, it has so much capability. So then in the end they say that's why we get so much variation even within the population of a particular sexually reproducing species. That they are saying that is why no two people are the same, no two brains are the same, no two faces are the same. So the cells can result into a completely different variation. So many variations are possible within genes. So this was the answer. The first one was easy, D and B, based on A and the, simply article rule. This is we are saying that's why we get. So before we say that's why, we should explain. So that's why. Why are we saying this? Because the possible variations are very broad, and that is why people are not same. This was the short story. Okay, better than the previous one. Some of you have got it correct. If I have written CADB, so you'll get 1 mark for DB. That's it. Because CA is also correct. So you'll get 1 mark for CA and 1 mark for DB. So 2 marks in total. Shreya. B and C are it. So you've got 1 mark for CA and 1 mark for DB. Making pairs correctly. Okay, so you have your third question on the screen and you have got 2 minutes to solve this. Please put your answers once you have done. Okay, let's see. It is the last pair is incorrect, actually. Rest they were going good. Okay, so the first sentence was D because it's a general sentence. Words have the power to inform, persuade, educate, and even entertain. And the spoken word can be even more powerful than the written word in the hands of the right speaker. So this, they were basically trying to say that words are very important if used correctly. And then the second one was whether you are a small business owner or a student, you will benefit from improving your public speaking skills. So from here, from this sentence, which was also about spoken and written word, now we have just taken up the speaking section out of that. And we are saying everybody gets benefited from public speaking skills. So from here, what we follow is called the subject rule. Say public speaking skills, yeah. So the subject or the object of this sentence becomes the subject of the next sentence. This is called the subject rule. So here we finished at public speaking skills and now we are further explaining it. Speaking in public, this is the subject now, is especially important for businesses to market their offers. And then it was C. This allows them to get their message in front of potential customers, because them here means their message means message of the businesses, because the message is not of the sales people or executives. It is not their personal message. The message that we give in marketing is the message of the business, what the business wants to say to its potential customers. So this there was for businesses. And then we are narrowing down to salespeople and executives are often expected to have good public speaking skills because they will fall under businesses. Business salespeople and executives will be part of business, so it will come after this sentence. But in between comes their message, because the message cannot be of salespeople. The message is of the business itself. So that is why this sentence comes in between. Right? Some of you have got some pairs correct. Is it fine or speak now? So these are the sequences. This is the sequence for this question. I hope it is fine now with everyone. All right, so these were the reorders that we had to do today. And now let's move on to reading writing blanks. And here you have your first question. First question on the screen, 2.5 minutes is what you have for these blanks. Make sure you're timing yourself and then you are putting your answers in the chat box. Okay, should be done. And let me see who answered first and correct. Lot of mistakes. Okay, let's look at the answers. This says, energized by his success and encouraged by investors, Ford got to work on more advanced models and even received financial backing for a company to manufacture and sell horseless carriages. Dash business experience, Ford faced some initial struggles and the new company failed. So obviously business experience was not with him. So we need a negative word. That's why the company failed and he faced initial struggles. Facing business experience, we don't face experience. Dealing comes with dealing with something. Gained is a positive word. So the only negative word we have is lacking experience. He faced struggles and the new company failed. Dash a second company. So one company failed. Also a second company also cannot come. It will be incomplete if you put after comma straight away also a second company. Even though cannot come because we are not going opposite. Even the first side was negative, the second side is also negative. Additionally means one more, but it has to be additionally. So the right answer was along with, means with one company failed and along with it means with that a second company also failed. But Ford would not give up on his mission to make great automobiles, so he got to work on some of his boldest ideas yet. To prove the ability of his products, Ford entered one of his cars into a race, dash he won. Now here most of the mistakes you have done. Some of you have written that. The correct answer is which, and what is the difference between that and which? This we have discussed already a lot of times. The difference between that and which is when you write that, you don't put a comma before that. But when you write which, you need to put a comma before that. So here the answer will be which he won. He then proceeded to build an even faster model that set an American speed record. These high-profile successes brought Ford a great deal of dash. So success brought a great deal of responsiveness. It should be to be a noun. Great deal of working is no deal. Great deal of attention is fine. Great deal of popularity is the noun. So the only noun that we have here is attention. Nothing else is possible. Great deal of attention. And soon investors were knocking at his door once again. On June 16, 1903, Ford dashed his third empire. Something happened in 1903 should be past tense, and we had two past options. He made his third enterprise or he incorporated. So made is general, incorporated is better, so we should go with he incorporated. Incorporated is also a word we more use in business context. Made is general, we can use made for food also, made for chart also. But incorporated is used when a business organization is established, then we use the word incorporated. And they have written that it was a company that we formed. So for companies, we use the word incorporation of a company. The first answer should simply be based on that we need a negative word. So it should be lacking experience. So first company failed along with the second one means along with here won't mean like together, means one company failed along with the second one also failed, but also we cannot write when we have along with it along with in the options. And that and which, that comes without a comma, which comes with a comma, so that is why which is the answer. Great deal of what, so whenever the question is what, we have to put a noun in that case. And out of the four options, we had only one noun. The noun form of popular is popularity, and the noun form of responsive is responsiveness. Working is not a noun. So the only option with noun was attention. And the last one was based on, first of all, tense. We needed past tense, and we had two, but when we talk about a company in particular, incorporated is a better formal word in business context, right? No, because has is present tense, Pandey, and we need past tense. Has is present tense, Suman. So they say on 1903, Ford has established. On this particular day, 16 June 1903, something has happened. Has can only be used in present tense. What happened? Even this one was here to stay. Was is also past tense only, na guys. Why are you looking at, even if you're looking at was, it is past tense. What relation does it have to select present tense? Has is present tense and was is past tense. Got it now? Any other confusions, anyone? All good with everybody? Okay, thank you so much. So here you have your question number 2 and 2.5 minutes again. Please select your answers. Okay, let's discuss the answers. The first one was a bit confusing, right? Too much tense. Okay, this says in the summer of 1995, a bakery opened in Montreal, Canada, and began to serve warm New York style bagels. Other cities across the world dashed when New York bagels finally came to town, but the Montrealers were outraged. So they are comparing this particular city with other cities of the world, and they are saying in other cities people were dash. And if we look at the options, all the four options are with the word thrilled. That means other cities of the world were happy, but when this dish basically came to Montreal, people were outraged. Means they were not happy. So some of you have selected other cities across the world thrilled, but Montreals were outraged. If we put thrilled here, that will mean both the things happen at the same time. If we put both the things in the same tense, which is simple past tense, that will mean both the things happened at the same time, which is not possible. That in all the cities of the world, or whatever cities of the world, this dish came at the same time. So this was some extra thinking involved in this blank, which is why the answer is D, had been thrilled. We are making a difference in the time, because had and simple past means two things both happened in the past, one after the other. So that is the reason of selecting had here, because saying that both the things happen at the same time doesn't make sense in all over the world. So that was the reason of selecting had. Otherwise, nobody has selected B and C, which is a good thing because they are present tenses and we are talking about 1995. So it's not possible to say present tense. So that was the answer, had been thrilled. This basically means that when this dish was introduced in other cities of the world, people were very happy at that time. But when finally it came to Montreal, people were outraged. How do we come to know that this happened later? Because this is in simple past and the previous one should be with past perfect. The thing that we write with had comes first and simple past comes second. So 𝗿𝗏𝗀, the new shop, went out of dash and closed its doors in less than a year. So people were outraged, so nobody would be buying things from them. So they run out of work, business, service, or job. Run out of work is also fine, but run out of work is generally used when we lose our job. In that sense, we use. But because it was their own business, so we can say they run out of business. Nobody came to them, so they closed their doors. Montreal has a unique bagel tradition that dash back to at least 1919. We always use the word dates back in present tense. Even if it is something in 1920 or 18, it will always be past tense after dates back. It can never be present tense. So you never select dated back, especially when your sentence starts with present tense. Montreal has a unique bagel tradition that dates back. If they would have said Montreal had a tradition, then you can say that dated back. So it depends upon what your sentence is starting with. If it is starting with present tense, then we go with dates back only, not dated back. The Montreal bagel is chewier, smaller, and less dense, but has a much bigger hole than its American cousin. Boiled in honey water and then baked in a wood-burning oven, it's a little sweet and has a harder dash. So it's a dish basically. It has a harder outside, outwardly, exterior, or external, and I think all of you have selected correct. Selecting no. A dish can have what? Harder exterior. We say harder external of the dish. No. Harder exterior. External is not a noun. Exterior will be a noun. It is hand rolled in the shape of an oval loop. You can wear one dash your wrist like a bracelet. So we wear a bracelet around our wrist, not across or on or in the wrist. So it will be around our wrist. So these are the answers. The first one, let me explain it to you again. If we say that all the countries of the world, or let's say 10, 20, whatever countries of the world, and in Montreal, this happened at the same time, it will be a bit irrational to say that that's not possible. So that was the reason we cannot go with simple past tense, because two things in simple past tense will mean they happen at the same time. If two things happen in the past and we want to say one happened and then the other happened, then for one of the things we have to use simple past, which they had already used. And for one of the things we have to select past perfect, which is had form with third form. So that is, but this rarely comes in the exam, this kind of thinking. So it's okay if it goes wrong. The second one was self-explanatory. They run out of business, so they close their doors. If the sentence starts with present tense, you will always say dates back, not dated back. And the dish had or dish has a harder dash. What is harder in the dish? We needed a noun. Exterior is the noun. Outside is not of a dish, and external is not a noun. And the last one, we can wear it around our wrist. They made it very clear by using the word bracelet. So we wear a bracelet around our wrist. Right? These are the answers. Any doubts, anybody? On would be like, this is my hand, so on it I wear a bracelet. So it's fine to say on, but if you have a more specific thing, more specific word given, then you have to select that. Sometimes a lot of options fit in general verbal language, but when you have a specific word, you say around the wrist is this, and we wear a bracelet around our wrist. If an around is not given at all, then we can say on our wrist. No, 1999, that's what I'm saying. The after dates back will always be a past. Dates back itself means that we are going to pass. So it will always be past after dates back. You have to check what is written before the blank. Has is present tense. That is why we have selected dates here, which is present form. They went out of service. No, went out of service means they were unable to serve. They even then, even if you don't go into that context, that it's a business or whatever, went out of service means they were unable to serve. Like they did not have staff, so they are unable to serve. That is called went out of service. Right? Went out of business means nobody was coming there. No customers. That is run out of business. Okay, the next question number 3 and 2.5 minutes. Please post your answers. Saida, you were the first one, but with one wrong answer, and Suman, second one with all correct. Very good. Let's look at the answers. It says computers and the internet dash many high-tech and complicated pieces to run properly. So computers and the internet is plural, so we need a verb without S, so we can eliminate provides and needs first of all because they are with S. So we are left with require and share. So computers require many pieces to run properly, or computers share many pieces to run properly. So computers and the internet require means it is required that every piece runs properly. Only then there can be information sharing. But something known as a router is a key instrument that keeps information being sent from one computer to another, going along the correct pathway. The internet also relies on telephone wires and satellite links for wireless information dash. So internet relies on wires and satellites for what? For wireless information sharing. This is the purpose of internet now, to share the information. So internet relies on these things to share the information wirelessly. So it was wireless information sharing. It's important to note that for the dash to work as it does, many companies have to agree to work with one another. So for what to work, some of you have selected for the computer. So for our computer to work, many companies have to agree with one another. No, a computer can run independently. We don't need companies to come together to work for working on a computer or for a computer to work. But for the internet to work, many companies have to come together. They are further explaining that why are they saying this thing? The internet is really a collection of networks working together toward a common dash. So with it has to be a singular noun, and looking at the options, we have goal. We cannot say working toward a common space. No, the networks are working for a common goal. And what is that goal? The goal of allowing information to dash. So what we have got here is most of you are correct in saying the goal of allowing information to be shared. We cannot say goal of allowing information to share. It will be incomplete. If you write share, then we need share what? The goal of allowing information to share something. Information will be sharing something in that case, because we can never finish a sentence at a verb. And if you put share, first form of verb, sorry. So if you put share, it is first form of verb, we have to again end it with a noun, which is wrong. That is why the answer is it allows information to be shared. So the first answer was based on grammar. This is plural subject, so we need a verb without S. That is why the first answer is require. Computers and the internet require. The second, the internet relies on wires and satellite links for wireless information sharing. This is the job of the computer. Third one, it is important to note that for the dash to work, many companies have to come together. So computer is not the answer, because companies don't come together for the working of computer. Companies come together for the working of internet. And internet is really collection of networks working towards a common goal. There's one common goal of internet, to allow information to be shared, that we can share the information. That is the goal of internet. If we say information to share, then we will need noun here. Capital I, we do consider internet as a proper noun. If it is written in this form, then internet is considered as a proper noun, and that is why we capitalize the word I. It's a bit of a very complex understanding of using internet with small I and internet with capital I. If it is being used as a thing, then we use it as a capital I and consider it as a proper noun. Do we not need noun sharing? Is noun. No, sharing is being used as a noun here. Sharing is not the verb here. This is satellite link. What do we need satellite links for? We need satellite links for wireless information sharing. It's a process. Wireless information sharing is the name of the process. So that is why it will be a noun. Right? Anybody else, any questions in this? Is it all good? No worries, Anita. All good. Okay, question number 4, and you have 2 minutes to solve this and post your answers, please. Wow, I like this. So you've got Kiran, Amara, but your one answer is wrong. Saida. All 3 answering at 8:13 and the correct answers. Very good. Well done. Let's see the answers. When we think about how our personalities are formed, we can think about genes we acquired from our parents. So the sentence is complete. Think is a verb. We need adverb here. Adverb are the words that end with ly, evenly, certainly, even quite is an adverb. So out of certainly and evenly, first will fit. We can think about genes. We can evenly or oddly. Do we think evenly or oddly? No. We can certainly means we can surely think about. So that will be the right answer. We can certainly think about genes we acquired from our parents, but we also have to think about other complexly dashed factors like environment and upbringing. So we also have to think about other dashed factors. We can always eliminate the ly words. They can never help us find any answer. So we can eliminate them and we can read the sentence. We also have to think about other factors. The sentence is complete. Factors is a noun, so we need adjective. What kind of factors? Other missing factors: intertwined, traced, or recombining. So anything that can describe. Help, taking help from complexly. Complexly will go with intertwined, because complexly intertwined means they are very complexly related or mixed or juggled with each other. That is called intertwined factors like environment and upbringing. For now, we will simplify things by just focusing on the physical aspect of inherited traits. For example, if both parents dash the trait of red color, their offspring have a greater chance of acquiring the genes that code for red color. So if both parents is plural, so we need a verb without s, so we can eliminate installs. We don't need past tense because we are talking about a general scenario. We are not talking about a time in the past. We are talking about a general thing. So we don't need past tense also. What we are left with is exhibit and show. Both of them have the same meaning, but exhibit is a better academic version of show. So we'll go with exhibit. If both parents show or if both parents exhibit the trait of red color, then their offspring have a greater chance of having red color. Certain traits are characteristically dominant or recessive, dash on the makeup of their alleles. Okay, the sentence is complete. In place of the full stop, they have used a comma. In that sense, if we have a blank right after that comma, we always go with ing form of verb. So we have focusing on or depending on. So they say they can be this or that. That means there's not a fixed answer. So it can be the genes can be dominant or the genes can be recessive depending upon their makeup, that how are they made. This can make predicting traits tricky, but it is still very possible to estimate the likelihood, even the mathematical probability, that certain traits will dash in the offspring of partners who exhibit those traits. That certain traits will dash. After will comes first form of verb, so we can first of all eliminate ed because will is a modal, and with all modals come first form of verb without s. So certain traits will ensure in the offspring, certain traits will benefit in the offspring, or the certain traits will manifest in the offspring. So manifest is the right answer because manifest also means show. Certain traits will show in the offspring of partners who exhibit those traits. So these are the right answer because traits cannot benefit in the human being, offspring would be child. Traits cannot ensure in the offspring, so traits can show in the offspring. So we can see them in the child. The first one, we need an adverb, so it will be we can certainly, surely, think about. We cannot say we think evenly or oddly. Then what kind of factors? Trace is not a kind of factor. Missing, we were not talking about missing factors because environment and upbringing, we do have it in front of us, so we cannot say missing factors. So we are left with intertwined means complex factors, interrelated, interdependent factors. Then both parents is plural, so the verb has to come without s. And because it's a factual statement, it's a general statement, we cannot select ed form. And out of exhibit and show, exhibit is more academic, so that's why we have selected that. The traits can be dominant or recessive depending upon their makeup. So depending upon means this is a condition. And the last one after will comes first form. So we are talking about traits. We can see the traits in the child. So that is certain traits will show up in the offspring. Show up means manifest in the child. Any confusions, anybody? Is it all good? Those who have selected resulted in the last one, don't do these kind of mistakes. This is going to come, a lot of things in the exam are come like this based on simple rules. Okay, we are on the last question. Wow, I didn't realize. The last question, number 5 for today, and You have 2.5 minutes. Please put your answers in the chat box. Okay, let's check the answers. Who has given the first one? 𝗙𝗏𝗏. And let's see if it is correct or not. I haven't seen. Residents of LA, California must dash with gridlock traffic every day. So something that goes with. Deal with, face with, indulge with, or tackle with. Indulge comes with indulge in. Face does not come with anything. They face the problem, face the challenges. We don't need any preposition. Even with tackle, we don't need any preposition. How to tackle this situation? Should we tackle the poverty? So we don't need any preposition. But with deal, how are you going to deal with this situation? So with deal, we use the word with, so that is why it is the first answer. They must deal with gridlock traffic every day. It can take up to an hour to get from the east side of the city to the west. Over the past decade, the city government has made legislative inroads in expanding and building public transportation. In order to dash the hours of driving, commuters must put in on a daily basis. Okay. So whatever they are doing, it will be to reduce the hours of traveling. So with to comes first form of verb. Inaccessible is not a verb. To alleviate, yes, alleviate is a negative word and we want to do negative with the hours. Extend is to increase, lengthen is also to increase, so there's no option. We have to alleviate the hours, we have to reduce the hours the drivers put in on daily basis. Car culture in LA is so dash that many residents oppose the building and expansion of existing subway and bus lines. So car culture is so spreading, unwelcome, pervasive, or entrenched. Pervasive is the answer. Pervasive means it's so common that nobody wants to use a bus. So they are against making of bus lines and they are against making subways because they think nobody uses it. Why are you doing it? So some residents, especially in high density housing in Hollywood, so we can eliminate the comma to comma part to understand grammar. Some residents that dash official complaints with the city. So residents is plural. Let's see. Makes cannot be the answer. Makes come with singular. Has will also come with singular. Are putting or have. Are and have both are used in with plural options. So residents are putting complaints means right now they are doing it or they have filed. So it's better to go with have filed because they are not doing it now. Residents have filed official complaints with the city and housing authority in area that have been marked by government officials as dash opportunities for public transportation. So the areas which are marked by government as dash opportunities. So what kind of opportunities? Potential, probable, possible, or professional. So when we see an opportunity in something to be converted into a better thing, it is called potential. So the answer will be potential means possible opportunities or potential is that here it can be a very good bus stand, let's say. So that would be a potential opportunity. Expansion. One of the major complaints about the expansion of public transportation in LA has to do with residents losing their views of the city dash their residences. So one complaint is that they will lose the view of the city from their residences, means from their houses they won't be able to see the city if there is public transportation, expansion of public transportation everywhere. So it was a completely context-based question, we can say. The first one is deal because deal comes with and the other options they don't come with. The second one is we want to reduce the hours. We want to do negative with the hours. So that's why they're saying to alleviate, like say alleviate poverty means reduce poverty. Third one, the car culture is so common that they are against the buses. If we say car culture is unwelcome, then they should be in favor of buses. But the context is saying they are against the buses. That means they are in favor of cars. So the car culture is so pervasive. Pervasive means it's so common. The fourth one is residents have filed because they are not right now filing. So we can say they have filed complaints. And the areas were marked as opportunities. What kind of opportunities? Potential means in future we can convert these areas into bus stations or whatever for public transportation. So they were potential opportunities to be converted opportunities. And the last one, they lose the view of the city from the residents. So always have view from the balcony, view from the terrace, so view from their houses. Right, so these are the answers. Any confusion or doubt, anyone? Louis, is it fine now? The third one. Second one, we want to reduce the hours of traveling. Now, Sumnima, why will we want to exceed the traveling time? We will always want to cut the traveling time. So that is why the answer is alleviate, because extend and lengthen means to increase the traveling time. That is why it is alleviate. Means reduce. Pervasive means common, something which is everywhere, something which is very common is pervasive. All good, the rest of you? That's okay, Sundama, you can note it down now. Using. Is it grammatically correct using spreading in third plan? Where is it? Car culture is so spreading. And the car culture is spreading so much, but for culture, car culture, I don't think we can use the word spreading. Car culture is becoming more popular, gaining popularity, would be more formal than saying spreading. Yes, pervasive means common. Potential is better. Possible is just like we can make a bus stand here. It's possibility. Potential is that it's one of the best places, that it will be very economical, or it will be in budget, or it will serve the purpose. So that is called potential. Better than possible, because possible is everywhere, but potential is this place has something really good that it can be converted into a successful something. That is potential. Right? Okay, so these are the questions that we had to do today. I hope it would have been helpful to you and you have noted a lot of things and you have timed yourself, most importantly. So this was the last class for this week, and next one is on Monday. What date is it? 29th, 28th. So I'll see you on 28th. So that means we have one more week running the classes at this time. And then from 4th of April, the time will change to 6 p.m. according to Sydney time. So next week, we are meeting at same time, same place. And thank you so much for your attendance and enjoy your weekends. Take care of yourselves. Keep practicing and come back with some doubts, some queries, and we'll try to discuss something new in the next week. The meaning of entrench, I don't know. The meaning of entrench. Establish. Settle. So establish something in a very firm way that it is difficult to change. Although is better than though. Have a great weekend to you too, all of you. Enjoy your weekend.